Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Kathleen with SpedHub Studios, and today I wanted to share with you 10 strategies I use with my students with autism. What I have learned is the most effective way to work with students with autism is to use visuals. So most of my strategies, especially the ones in the beginning, are going to be visuals. And I have a couple of the visuals here to show you what I use and how I use them. So here we go, the 10 strategies. I've broken them down for you. Some of them you're probably familiar with, but I also wanted to give you examples of how I use them in my classroom. Are you ready? Number one is the first then visual. And I have one here for you, right here. And if you want this, please leave a note in the comments and I will get it up for you, and you're more than welcome to have it. This one is a 5x7 card that I use, laminate it. You can either write on there or you can use pictures depending on the student's abilities and what they need. So I have it in two different versions here. This one I use with the pictures, and then when I have to write, I use this one because it's just a little bit easier for my students when I have to just write, first you're going to do this, then you're going to do this. It makes it so much easier. So I have both of these available. If you would like for me to upload them into my store, just leave a comment below and I'm more than happy to get those to you so you can also use them with your students. If your students have moved past the first then, you can use the first next then. Again, I have it this way for the pictures, so you can just put pictures there for them. But if you want to, you can write in there for the higher kids. Again, first you're going to do this worksheet, then you're going to do this activity, then you can have Play-Doh. Strategy number two is a visual schedule. Having a visual schedule, the students know exactly what's coming. You can have picture visual schedules, you can have a combination of pictures and visuals, or you can just have the words depending on their ability and their level. This is the one that I have at home right now. So just a quick picture. This one is somewhere in the middle because it's got the words, but it's also got the pictures. I've also color coded my students. It has been a great way to help students know what's coming next, especially if you have centers and they're all over the place. Number three is one of my favorite, which is an expectation map. I use this one all the time in my classroom. It helps explain what is expected behavior and what is unexpected behavior, and it shows them a visual way that if they do exactly what is expected, they will be rewarded. If they don't do what is expected, they're not going to get their reinforcer. So this is just a visual expectation map, what I've got here, and sometimes it's called a contingency map. So on Monday, if my student keeps their hands to themselves and they do their work, they're going to earn their Play-Doh. If they don't keep their hands to themselves and they don't do their work, they are not going to get the Play-Doh at the end of class. So this just helps make it visual, makes them be able to see. It's a great thing. You can put these on Velcro, rip them off, let them pick the reinforcer that they're working for. You can change it up because some days we don't need to work on keeping our hands to ourselves, and you can change it up for each student exactly what they're working on. The fourth one I use is a timer. I have timers all over my classroom. It makes life so much easier. Set a timer. You're expected to do this for 5 minutes. If it's the whole group, I put it up on the smartboard. I put it everywhere. This way students know exactly how much time is left, or if they're having when they've earned their reinforcer, they know that they get 5 minutes worth of reinforcement time. You set the timer. As the time wears down, you say, hey, you have 3 minutes left, you have 2 minutes left, you have 1 minute left, you have 30 seconds. This way it doesn't come as a surprise. You kind of work with them on transitioning. Number 5 is preview schedule changes. Whenever something unexpected is going to happen that you know about in advance, giving students an advance notice, advance warning definitely helps them, and it makes them know that something different is coming because our students thrive on being consistent and doing the same routine day after day after day. They do the best when it's like that. This last week, I had to work all week on getting one student ready for a field trip. We told them about it weeks in advance. Every day we kind of talked about it more and more. The day before we went, I went over the exact schedule. I went over from the minute he walked in the school building, what he would do, when the buses would leave, where we were going, the minute we would get there, how much time we had at the first place, how much time we would have at lunch, and exactly what time the lunch was, then what we would do second. And then after that, we would get back on the bus, we would come back, and we would have a little time in the day before we would go home for the day. So previewing the schedule definitely helped make everything easier. Number 6 is extra transition time. Our students can't just pick up and move on to the next thing. So extra transition time is a must. Letting them know 5 minutes in advance before everybody else, hey, you're getting ready to go to lunch in 5 minutes. Just letting them know that the transition is coming, that way it doesn't surprise them. Then once you start that, I let my students know every minute after that, you have 4 minutes until lunch. You have 3 minutes until lunch. You have 2 minutes, and so on. So they understand. They seem to adjust better to the transition when they have extra time and they know that it's coming. So give them a little preview, kind of like what I just talked about with number 5. They go hand in hand. Adapted books is number 7. They are great. You can find them in about every subject for everything you need. They help students with comprehension, which is one thing our students struggle with. It also helps with our nonverbal students. It helps with pretty much anybody. And the great thing about this is adapted books can easily be differentiated for so many different levels. They are one of my go-to, especially for lesson plans in reading and writing. You can also use them in science and social studies and math, pretty much every day. And the kids love the fact that they are interactive and that they can move the pieces instead of just sitting there listening. Number 8 is social stories. Our kids most of the time do not understand basic social cues. So social stories is a huge way to help them with that. Social stories can be anything from getting on the school bus to fire drills to tornado drills to playing at recess, sharing a ball at recess, taking turns, what is expected. I know I'm working on one for standardized testing right now, so they know exactly how that day is going to look compared to the normal schedule. Anything and everything. They are great to help with the underwritten curriculum that most students just understand and our students have a hard time understanding. It is a great way to just explain in simple terms what they need to know. Number 9 goes right after the social stories. Social stories are great, but what I've learned is that you have to move on to role play. Role play helps with those social stories. It is amazing. And I just want to share one story with you that I learned the hard way. One of my students came in from recess because he couldn't share the ball with some of the other kids that were asking for it, and he just took it and took off with it. So anyway, we went over, we read the social story about sharing and taking turns. We read it, we had the ball, and then at that point, I had it and I asked him to do it. He just looked at me and sat there, and we didn't get anywhere with it because I didn't show him how to do it. So whenever you start to role play after you do a social story, make sure that you also model it for the student. So instead of me having the ball and him asking for it, it would have gone much better if he had the ball and I said, hey, can I have the ball? It's my turn. And have it, and then that way, and I take a turn and then be like, okay, it's your turn to ask for the ball back. And then That way he's seen me ask for it, he knows how to do it, instead of me expecting him to be able to do it after reading the social story just one time. Number 10 is have a reward system in place. I totally recommend it. Every year I seem to come up with a different reward system, but that's okay because all of my students need a different reward system. Sometimes I can hold out rewards till the end of the day. Other times it has to be reinforced and given within 5 to 10 minutes of the expectation. You just learn these things as you get to know your students. Also, I keep a journal or notepad on each student and what reward system works, how long I can hold it out for, and things like that. Like some of the things like playing with Play-Doh, they need to do after like every class or every 10-15 minutes of hard work. Some of the other ones, if they keep their hands to themselves and they work really hard all day, they can have Doritos at the end of the day. So it just depends. But get to know your students, ask your students what they want to work for, but more importantly, don't be afraid to try something new. Experiment with it. If you come up with an idea, try it. You might be surprised that it really, really works, or you might be realize that this doesn't work. We're going to come up with something else, and that's okay. But having that reward system in place and them knowing that the reward system is in place helps the students with behavior all day long. I hope you found some of these strategies useful and that you're able to take and implement them in your classroom right away. If there are any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I am more than happy to answer them. And if you would like more in-depth information on any of these strategies, please leave a comment below. I'm more than happy to take each one of these strategies and kind of expand and give you more examples. I just wanted to do a quick overview of 10 strategies that I use on a regular basis in my classroom to help me out. Thank you so much for watching my channel and supporting this. If you have any questions, please let me know. Until next time, see you then.